One of the things that business owners forget a lot is to prepare for their own retirement.
Hi, my name's Nick Palavita, and today I'm with a very special guest, a certified financial planner, a chartered retirement plan specialist, and president of National Pension Partners, Max Culiet. Max, tell me what you do at National Pension Partners.
Well, Nick, we help successful small businesses and professionals put together retirement plans that provide them the maximum retirement benefits and big tax deductions at the same time.
Well, how do you do this?
Well, we get on an internet conferencing system with the client. We review their goals, what they want to accomplish, and then put together strategies to help them in implementing a retirement plan that benefits them, not everybody else.
Well, that sounds really good, but how much does this cost?
Well, it's really not bad because the first consultation is free. That allows us to go through and discover whether this strategy works for that business and for you as the business owner and helping you maximize your retirement.
Well, Max, how do we get this free appointment?
It's really pretty simple, Nick. You can either go to our website below or call us at 877-252-1692, and then we can set up a time with either myself, Nick, or one of our other retirement plan specialists, another CPA or advisor in the office to go over this with you and make sure it fits you.
Hi, my name is Lewis Haupt. I work with National Pension Partners, and I work with businesses to allow them to put the maximum away that they can for themselves and to save taxes.
Hi, I'm Brad Coyle, and I'm the brokerage manager at National Pension Partners. We're always analyzing plan fund choices in order to ensure the participant's success.
If you want more information on how we can help you and your business put more money away in a retirement plan than you ever thought possible, contact us at the website below or call us at 877-252.
News from one of our sponsors, that being National Pension, which of course is partially owned by the founder of the network, that being Nick Palavita, and all along those lines. So definitely glad to have that conversation with him and all along those lines, and to have him sponsor this show as well as this network and everything like that. Let's talk about what's going on in the world. China warns there is no market for Japanese seafood exports, as there is definitely a spat over what's going on with Taiwan. So China and Japan are in a vicious game of chicken over Taiwan. Japan says warplane scrambled as Chinese drone detected near southern island close to Taiwan. And China suspends seafood imports from Japan as that row between them and Taiwan, well, them and China escalate, as definitely Taiwan is involved in the middle of that and everything like that. Israel's military carries out an airstrike in Lebanon after warning people to evacuate. So Israeli airstrike on a Palestinian refugee camp in Lebanon kills 13 people. 13 people were killed in the Israeli strike on Lebanon's Sudan, Lebanese Health Ministry said in their report, and all along those lines. Zelensky is under siege as corruption case shatters Ukraine's wartime unity. At least that's what's being reported by the New York Times. And there are even the economists is saying a huge corruption scandal is threatening Ukraine's government. So that is something that people are talking about as well. And student escapes as authorities search for 24 other girls abducted in Nigeria. Trump remarks fuel U.S. political storm over Nigerian schoolgirl abduction. And definitely it looks like there were 2 schoolgirls that escaped the Nigerian kidnap ordeal, officials are saying. And of course, there's reports about Christians being persecuted in Nigeria, and I think Nicki Minaj even came out recently, and of course she is the very popular hip-hop artist and everything like that, saying that folks should not be persecuted for what they want to practice in terms of religion and all along those lines. Russian spy ship pointed lasers at RAF pilots tracking it, according to the UK. Britain warns Russia after spy ships come close to its waters, we are ready. So what is the mysterious Yantar spy ship? And is it mapping Britain's undersea cables? That's what Sky News is reporting. And definitely that's something going on as well. And there's still the inside the hunt for the Louvre heist suspects. So definitely they're saying that the Louvre thieves exploited human psychology to avoid suspicion. And they're even asking what it reveals about AI. So Louvre chief announces emergency measures to boost security after that brazen crown jewels heist. So definitely even the Wall Street Journal is asking why it's easier to rob a museum than a jewelry store in France. And MP's aides reported suspected China LinkedIn approach. So it looks like newspaper headlines, M15's Chinese spy alerts, and Trump is defending the MBS. So Chinese spies are using LinkedIn to target UK lawmakers is what M15 is warning. So China is in a covert and calculated effort to recruit MPs and peers, the ministers are saying there in that part of the world. And Trump defends the Saudi crown prince over killing of journalists as they hold talks in the Washington, D.C. area. So from $1 trillion spending to F-35s, the U.S. Saudi pledges aren't done deals yet. But definitely Trump is lauding the MBS during the White House visit and dismisses Khashoggi's killing. So definitely that's something going on as well. And Poland says Ukraine working for Russia behind rail blast. So that's something we talked a little bit about yesterday. And an existential battle of interest, what the Sudanese war is actually about. So the conflict in Sudan has become a humanitarian catastrophe, the world's largest displacement crisis. And that's something that folks are talking about as well. And Bangladesh's ousted leader, Sheikh Hassani, was sentenced to death after crimes against humanity conviction. And they're saying that India likely won't return Hassani to face Bangladesh death penalty and all along those ways. So even Amnesty International is saying that Bangladesh justice for victims of the 2024 massacre not served by the death sentence against Sheikh Hassani is what they are claiming. And that is what's going on there as well. By the way, you may not know this, and this is one of them maybe funny or humorous stories that Rick likes and everything, but World Toilet Day is today. And yes, apparently that's really the name of the holiday. So apparently it's on today, and we'll always need the toilet, the urgent need for the toilet conversation. So don't flush things other than the 3 Ps and all along those lines. But that is something that is going on in the news as well. UN Security Council approves Trump's 20-point peace plan for Gaza. And after the UN vote, Netanyahu calls for Hamas's expulsion from the region. So we'll see if that happens or it doesn't happen in that space. And at the COP30 Live, Brazil aims for an early agreement on Big Four issues. So there's a lot of takeaways as more than 80 countries back push for a roadmap to quit fossil fuels at the COP30. And South Korea ferry carrying 267 people runs aground on a reef. And that is something that is being talked about as well as they are being stranded as a rescue operation is underway. So far, South Korea ferry with about 230 people runs aground. No casualties have been reported. Let me get to some U.S. news, and then I'll bring in my folks as well and see what they've got on their mind. Larry Summers resigns from the OpenAI's board. So he resigns after scrutiny over the Jeffrey Epstein emails. And definitely that is something that is going on as well. And U.S. Baltimore bridge collapse caused by one faulty wire. So investigators zero in on the cause of the chip outage before the bridge crash and all along those lines. So a single loose wire apparently caused the Baltimore bridge collapse that could cost Maryland $5.2 billion to replace. So it looks like they're looking at a major amount of money that they're going to have to pay. And judge orders some Texas public schools to remove 10 Commandments posters. So the federal judge has ordered some Texas schools to remove the 10 Commandment posters and all along those lines. Paxton sues Linder and Round Rock school districts for not displaying the 10 Commandments. And Tom Steyer will run for California governor in the 2026 race. This is a billionaire Democratic activist who has entered the race for governor, and we'll see how he does against Newsom and whoever else might be in the race as well. And Democrats are going to regret this after Epstein vote. Trump is ready to attack. So some people are saying why Trump targeted J.P. Morgan in a call for a Justice Department Epstein probe. And LinkedIn co-founder Reid Hoffman has ties to Jeffrey Epstein, and he is facing a Trump-ordered investigation. So as Trump looks for distraction on Epstein, Justice Department apparently is rushing to his aid. And Jessica Tisch will remain police commissioner under Mamdani. So it's official. New York Police Commissioner Jessica Tisch will lead the department under Mamdani. And that's something folks were trying to figure out who would be running what departments, but it does look like she will be continuing that and all along those lines. So see if I see any other stories I want to get to. Teen who died on Carnival Cruise was found under the bed and all along those lines. So an FBI is probing the step sibling in a cruise ship death of a Florida teen, according to what the filings are suggesting. Anna Kepner's body was found under a bed in her stateroom on Carnival Cruise ship. And the stepmom's child may face charges in the Florida teen's death on Carnival Cruises. And senators rage against phone data payoff measures won by Thune. So Democratic bill would strip provisions from funded bill that allows senators to sue over phone records. So definitely the House is to vote on repealing shutdown deal provision, allowing $500,000 lawsuits from the senators. So like I said, you're going to bring in, I know I've got Sasha Starr with me. I think I've got Rick with me. I don't have Nick with me. He must be having too much fun there in Spain and everything like that. And of course, we just did the medical show with Dr. Patmos and everything like that. So what's on y'all's mind? It looks like, by the way, Trump is said to authorize a CIA plan for covert action in Venezuela. So the USS Gerald Ford is entering Caribbean seas. They did that a couple of days ago, and Trump signed off on a possible CIA operation in Venezuela, and he did that a couple of hours ago. So it looks like there may be some CIA actions going against Maduro there in Venezuela.
So there are these brothers, Andrew Tate and his brothers, who Andrew Tate is this big shaved head MMA fighter who is also a rapist and a sex trafficker. He coerces women into prostitution, and he's being prosecuted in the UK, in Romania, and they were looking at prosecuting him in the US, except he and his brother have come to the US, and the White House has intervened to shut down the Justice Department investigation into this guy. Why? Why does Trump is very much team rape, and he shut down. These guys are internationally known for and facing charges. Why would Trump let him off the hook and let him stay in the U.S.?
Nobody knows, but then people are also trying to figure out why Trump is not just going against Venezuela, but Trump said he would, a couple of days ago, be okay launching strikes in Mexico. And Sheinbaum, the leader of Mexico, again dismisses Trump's threats of sending troops to Mexico. We do not want intervention, and all along those lines. Speaking of intervention, I know that here in Durham and in our capital city of North Carolina, of Raleigh, ICE was in the area, and they were definitely having a lot of things. And there was a whole heap of students, I think it was like 21,000 or it might have been more than that were not in school on Monday because of the ICE raid. So these were probably mostly Latin students, but not exclusively Latin students and everything like that. But yeah, people.
All right, because ICE, because they're idiots, run by idiots, they came up with a fun name for what they did. They call it Charlotte's Web. Mm-hmm. And then the publisher and the family of the author are like, get out of here with that, because Charlotte's Web is a beloved novel for children, and they're turning it. They grab the name for this cruel bullshit.
Yeah.
And also, the U.S. is not going to war with Mexico. Mexico has 160 million people, roughly half the population of the U.S. That's a big country. Venezuela, maybe they will keep saber rattling at Venezuela, because Venezuela only has 28 million, which is 1/12 of the U.S. population. So, Trump is a bully, and so he's going to go after the smaller country. Also, remind people that fentanyl doesn't come from Venezuela. Coke comes from Venezuela. Coke doesn't kill people for the most part. It destroys your life and your bank account. But if you're worried about reducing overdose deaths, then you go after the fentanyl. You don't go after Venezuela.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. You don't go after Venezuela. Hey, Sasha, I know it's been on the news lately and everything. Are you at all worried about Zelensky's leadership now that they're trying to make these whole corruption things go on and everything like that? Or is that not a concern as they are continuing their valiant fight against Russia and the whole horrible Russian invasion? But are you at all worried about some of these corruption charges that are coming out now about the Zelensky government?
Well, what can I say is that if Zelensky is involved in all this, there have to be consequences. There has to be a payday. And that payday for Zelensky is being that he's going to lose his presidency and he will be ousted and possibly incarcerated. That's one scenario. Another scenario is that it's all overblown by his enemies. That in fact, either there is very little happened of what's been alleged, or even if it happened, then Zelensky was not aware of it and he didn't know about that. So what's the most important thing is a transparency, is to figure out exactly what happened, who are the guilty people, who are culprits, and to punish them. That as long as that will be in place, Ukraine is fine. I'll close with
I agree with you on that and everything like that. Jacoby, you've joined us and everything. I don't know if you're on. There you go and everything like that. I was talking about the ice raids, and apparently our beloved city of Durham was involved, as was Raleigh. So I was just wondering your take on this, and if you've heard of any people that have been. Because I understand they might have been at Home Depot and some other places that they like to target. So I was just wondering your thoughts on this and what you've heard about our local city and everything like that.
I mean, they've been going to schools, they've been going camped out in neighborhoods. This, again, it's an attack on black and brown people. That's all it is. It isn't anything to do. 70% supposedly of the people that they grabbed in Charlotte had no records. So no criminal records, no nothing. They're just picking up brown people because they're brown. That's it. So this is truly disgusting. I don't know, Mark, I don't know if you knew where a lot of the people ended up. Well, actually, where people pointed out, there was, matter of fact, about 5 minutes from where I live, they were down at one of the beauty shops. So it's ridiculous, and it's just going to continue to happen. And I'm glad to see the youth in. I think it was Charlotte. There were kids that had a walkout, and I'm glad that they're standing up and fighting against it. This is a well-funded personal army to whiten the U.S. because they aren't going after anybody but black and brown people right now. And I hate to say it that way, but that's what it looks like.
Yeah, that's definitely what it looks like and everything.
Also,
like that.
I did want to ask Sasha though, because you were just talking about the information about Zelensky and so on and so forth. Okay. Now my curiosity, since this is now coming out, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that there couldn't be corruption. What I'm curious about is the information war starting to really trickle out. Because with Russia not really gaining any more ground physically, because the Ukrainian people have fought back admirably, they have pushed back. But now, are we starting a new phase where there's going to be not only the Hellfire missiles that happened just yesterday, and an information push? And because if you saw yesterday Trump's defense of MBS and how he attacked everybody for asking questions of MBS, is this information trickle going to start happening? And is that going to be something that this administration is going to aid in?
Jacoby, I think I could agree with you on many points. Number one is that look at yesterday's the ceremony with what's his royal prince from Saudi Arabia.
MBS.
Nadia and Trump, and there was a red carpet, there was a lavish dinner, there was all kind of insinuations that Saudi Arabia is our most important friend, and nobody can accuse him of anything, including killing of a journalist Khashoggi several years ago, and many other things. Nobody can ask these questions he's proclaiming. In the meantime, at the same time as that happened, there was an almost anonymous vote about Epstein files, first in House, where there was only one vote, and then Senate, 100% votes to release files immediately. So that put Trump in a very tough spot because he doesn't have a place for maneuver to say, well, we have to look at it. We have to see if innocent people will be talked about and there will be a damage to them. And maybe we have to do this. That's what Mike what's his name, Mike Johnson, was alleging, and he prepared some nice speech about that. Not very convincing, mind you, but still. But I think Trump now has no room to maneuver. Finally, Trump still has his desires to do business in Russia with Russians one way or another. So the communications between Trump and Russians never cease to exist. They're still there, although U.S. Foreign Department has nothing to do with Russia. There is nothing to discuss with them. They're liars. They're murderers. There is nothing. There is no even convincing theme that, well, maybe we don't understand something, maybe we didn't know about this or that, or maybe it's not so. No, there's no doubts about what the Russians and Putin in particular is. But Trump has his desire for the last several years, even if you're going back to his first cadence, that was his desire to say that he trusts Putin more than his FBI and other intelligence agencies. And now it's even worse. Now he put, first of all, very, very weak intelligence people in charge. And now he's doing and trying to do anything what he personally wants. He has nothing to do with American policy. He has nothing to do with what's in interest of American people. He does only what interests Trump, what benefits Trump. And with Saudi Arabia, it's exactly that. His relatives, his sons, his companies are making tons of money, billions of dollars, while most of American people are suffering. And this is exactly what happened when you put a criminal, a con artist, the sex offender in charge of the country. This is a payback time now. So Americans, you got what you wanted. What you choose, what you voted for, you got it, eat it.
Hey, speaking of payback and everything like that, I was trying to see if I could find a video, but I may play it on another edition. How concerned do you think people should be about because there was an issue with Biden about the cognitive decline of current President Trump? Because I was actually watching a piece on Obama, and Obama admitted that he aged decades, and he would talk about how he had woke up at like 6 or 7 in the morning to deal with the various briefs that he had to get, and all along those lines. And he was saying that it is a definite task to be president of the United States, and you got to deal with all these foreign leaders and the economy and all these different things that you get to deal with and everything like that. But he himself had said that he had saw issues of cognitive decline with the person that holds the nuclear code and everything like that. So I just wanted your take on that, and whether this is something that America should be concerned about much in the way that they were concerned about Biden's cognitive decline.
His cousin, who's a very vocal Trump critic, says that his behavior reminds her of Trump's dad's behavior, who was diagnosed with Alzheimer's in 1991 and lived another 8 years till 1999 with increasing, symptoms. And she thinks that Trump is acting like Trump's dad was in the early 90s.
Yeah, because even the YouTube video that I saw, even Barack Obama was making comparisons to Ronald Reagan, who had developed Alzheimer's while in the White House. And there are some people that think that he may have been given some signs of being in that state even while he was in office. And LBJ died shortly after getting out of office. And definitely, I think Franklin Roosevelt died while in office, if I remember correctly.
Well, those guys, FDR, and LBJ, they didn't have, their brains were fine. They lived at a time when there was lousier treatment for heart ailments. They died of cardiac stuff.
Right.
Well, I think I was just going to say, I think, honestly, Rick, this harkens back to something that you have repeatedly said, and it holds true now. When somebody says a bunch of crazy stuff and we accept a bunch of crazy stuff, how can you tell when that person who's saying a bunch of crazy stuff on a regular basis that we've just normalized, how do we know that there's a cognitive decline? How can you tell?
Trump has been a public bullshitter, like somebody who can just like keep talking endless, which is great if you're on the radio. I mean, from this show, we know if there's ever a silence, it gets really weird. You got to fill the silences with words, and Trump has always been able to do that. The words don't always make sense. So, and he's still able to do that. Words just keep spilling out of his mouth. So it's hard to judge whether his current nonsense is any more nonsensical than his previous nonsense.
Well, speaking of words going out of people's mouths, and I know Nick will probably want to jump on this, but I do have a question for you, Rick, and everything along those lines. But I don't know enough about the candidates in California and everything. So does this Tom Steyer, who apparently
he's got no chance. He's a vanity candidate. He's got billions of bucks. He might blow a couple hundred. He's done it before. Blow a couple $100 million on his campaign. He's got no charisma. He's got no political experience. He'll spend a bunch of money on ads that just like people will ignore because he's not a viable candidate.
Is he a communist like the lady in Seattle and the one in New York are?
No. He's a super capitalist. He's a guy who made billions of dollars. He loves making money.
Oh, okay. And now he thinks he likes politics.
Yeah, but he's run before with very little, getting, I don't know, 3% of the vote and crap like that. Yeah. No, he's not. I mean, we have some decent candidates. We have Katie Porter, who people loved her when she was in the House of Representatives because she'd bring her whiteboard and then she'd just yell at people, at executives, calling them on their bullshit. However, she's in trouble because it turns out she's kind of mean to her staff and stuff. People don't like that. But we've got a zillion.
It sounds like good candidates, and apparently this billionaire has joined. Hey, speaking of the war on black and brown people and Trump and everything along those lines, how concerned should we be about some of the accusations, including one, and I mentioned Nicki Minaj has joined the forefront as well, but there are some people that are talking about religious persecution even on the African continent, because apparently she is saying that Christians are being abused in Nigeria, and Trump is trying to jump on this bandwagon as well. So what is our thoughts around what's going on in Nigeria, and should we be concerned?
It's hard to tell because all this agitation comes from a Fox News report, and Trump gets most of his ideas from Fox News. And, there's political unrest. And yeah, maybe Christians are embroiled in it, but along with people of every other religion, because Nigeria is a big ass country that has lots of different kinds of people. I don't think Christians are being singled out.
They aren't being singled out. The issue is what you said. And it's the same thing with going on the farmers in South Africa and the issue in South Africa. There are Muslims being killed. There are a ton of them that are being killed, but there's no outpouring of support in that manner because right now the focus that this administration and the propaganda machine is pushing out is, hey, these white individuals are being persecuted. We must protect these white individuals. That's what's going on right now. And it's a sad reality. I hate to say it that way, but it's a sad reality. And we just have to be honest about what's being said and what's being pushed out.
So South Africa. South Africa has a lot of crime, including murder. They 27,000 murders a year in a country that's, not that big, but only one victim in 500 is a farmer. Which makes sense because farmers are way out, in the middle of freaking ranch land. You got to drive, you have to know that the farmer has stuff you want to kill him and steal. Anyway, only 1/5 of 1% but Trump focuses on the one person in 500 who might be a white farmer who got murdered, and says that it's a campaign against them. No, every people of all types, and mostly black people, get murdered in South Africa because 80% of the people in South Africa are black. So yeah, the white, it's bullshit.
Well, speaking of bullshit and everything like that, I know something that you're also interested in, and this is going to switch away from the news, but it is something that's important to the world of Hollywood and just the world of business, is this notion of AI. And apparently there's some people that are upset about a certain actress named Tilly Norwood, but they're saying that she's really no threat to Hollywood because apparently she's an AI actress. She doesn't really exist and everything like that. So I was just wondering your thoughts around this whole notion of AI, even in Hollywood. And we hear people talking about it going to take over businesses and a number of other things. And
well, it's disrupting a lot of stuff. And I got to say, there's one place where I own, well, so OnlyFans now has 5.5 million people posting sexy pictures to make a little bit of money. And, if AI squeezes those people out of business, it's kind of sad. But people are calling AI porn vegan porn, because if nobody is real in the porn, then nobody is getting exploited. In the 70s and 80s, it was the era of abusive biker boyfriends forcing their girlfriends into porn. Now with OnlyFans, it's a lot more, individuals not being, making the choice themselves.
Well, speaking of OnlyFans, apparently there is a new word of the year for 2025, and I think it's a word that you probably can identify with and everything, but I think a lot of us can. It's called parasocial, and apparently it was coined in 1956 by socialists Donald Horton and Richard Wohl, and the word was initially used to describe television viewers who formed one-sided relationships with TV personalities. So they have a one-sided relationship with whatever their crush is and everything like that. So apparently there's a lot of people that are parasocial with Taylor Swift and other folks as well. So what, have you had any parasocial relationships out there?
I mean, like being a sports fan is a parasocial thing. I care about the Lakers. I care about the Dodgers. The Dodgers don't know me at all. If people get exploited by, I just read, I get AARP magazine, which is for old people, and half the magazine every month is how to avoid getting scammed because you're a dumb old person and you fall for scams. And people exploit these parasocial relationships. All of a sudden, you start getting emails from your favorite soap opera star, and he says he's been in love with you for 2 years and he's finally managed to get in touch with you. And old ladies will send all their family's money to scammers pretending to be these soap guys.
Even and that's what they said. They said cyber stalking, hacking, and bullying other fans and loved ones, and even spreading falsehoods is a major part of what's going on with the parasocial movement.
Hey, Mark, we actually have that on the network. We have a show on timeshares. I'm sure that Sasha can't wait to run down to invest in a timeshare. But what's interesting about the show, if you ever watch it, is how many people get scammed on the timeshare because the sales guy is saying, hey, you can buy this timeshare points, and what do the points do? They don't know. And then what happens is we'll finance it for 14% or 20%. Well, that's a little high. Don't worry, you can get it refinanced later. And then they go to the bank after they bought it already. Can we refinance it? And the banks go, we don't finance timeshares. Are you crazy? There's no value there.
There's no value. Speaking of no value, and I'm gonna come back to speaking of no value, I'm gonna come back to Trump and one of his favorite things and everything, because we know Trump likes underage people and all along those lines. But apparently there's one of those underage pageants, or maybe they're not really underage, but there's one of those pageants that is now in trouble because some people are claiming, are you ready for this, that it's rigged? So 2 Miss Universe judges have quit the scandal hit pageant because one of those judges is claiming that it's a rigged contest, even though a lot of people have been thinking that for years and everything. So what is your thoughts about this notion that maybe Miss Universe isn't really Miss Universe? It's a whole resigned and rigged thing, because this is apparently a big scandal in the world of
look at how it's judged.
That's how they operate. I don't know what planet you're on. My cousin was Miss Tampa, but they were also big donors to the Miss Tampa pageant. But let's see what Sasha has to say about timeshare investments. I'm really curious to see if he's ever owned a timeshare. Sasha.
No, I'll tell you something that I think it's a brilliant show, and I'm surprised that not so many people are watching it, although I think probably 20, 30 million people should watch it, because what they're deriving from the show is self-respect that they never invested in this timeshare scheme, and that there are so many people are losing money on that, and they are proud of themselves that, oh, look at these fools, look at how much money all they lost, and we didn't, because we're smarter, we're more careful than these idiots. So this is probably should be easily #1 show on your network.
So it does have very high ratings.
My wife and I ended up owning a timeshare for the same reason a lot of people our age do, because our parents bought one in the 70s when it wasn't such a bad deal, and then
that's because you know what they were doing back then? They were actually selling weeks. So you basically had a partial interest in a house for a week or 2 weeks or a month or whatever. Now they're not selling weeks because you can't get extra money for weeks.
It was back 50 years ago. It was
selling points.
It was
they're selling points.
What happened?
This is worse. This is like cryptocurrency.
It's worse than cryptocurrency.
Let me finish my point. So you can end up owning a timeshare through no fault of your own, and you can be victimized that way because you may not know better. You think, well, this is a thing, I should be able to sell it. And there will be people who say, yeah, just work with us and give us $600 and we'll help you sell it. No, they're worthless. The best you can do is to get out of it, is to talk to the timeshare company and beg them and say, we didn't buy it, we inherited it, quit charging us every year for this thing, let us go.
Well, speaking of that, and really quickly, because we have the show and it airs even in reruns and it does pretty well and everything like that. They are saving people tons of money and all along those lines. But I want to come back because apparently the BBC is one of the people that broke this story, as did the New York Times and everything. And we know that Trump doesn't like the BBC. So is this going to be another reason for Trump not to go after media? The fact that they're going after one of his favorite things, which is Miss Universe and everything like that. So is he going to go after the BBC even more since they are now saying that it's
no, he doesn't know Miss Universe anymore. He must have sold it at some point. He only cares about stuff that affects him. So like somebody asked him on Air Force One some questions he didn't like, and he said, quiet, piggy, to this female reporter. So but he could give a crap about Miss Universe.
Yeah, that was a real because he apparently had done that before, where he had called somebody Miss Piggy that had put on some weight, and definitely as you age, you do that.
Just to point out, he's been doing that for a long time. We just normalized it. And now because of the Epstein file and there are cracks becoming in, or going through his armor, now we're finally saying, okay, that was wrong. He's been doing that for a very long time. The man mocked a reporter with special needs. Mm-hmm. Nobody cared. But now we're finally starting to care because people are getting through this whole Teflon Don piece. Right. So that's where things are. And so, yeah, just to say, well, he had mocked and this is shocking. He's been doing this the whole time.
Yeah, he's been doing this for a while. Hey, there's another issue that is out there, and I'm curious to see whether people are thinking this is a good thing or not, because it was a big issue decades ago and everything, but it's going to be maybe brought back into the forefront because there is an entertainment duo, the Kessler twins, that decided to let themselves pass away by assisted suicide. So they were at age 89, and they are Germans that used to perform with Sinatra and other big name actors, but I guess because of their age and some of the things that they were going through in health-wise, they decided that they would die by assisted suicide. So are we thinking that more people, as we get into an aging society, are going to want to die by assisted suicide, which was very popular by, I'm trying to think of the gentleman's name that was known for it. Y'all know him.
Dr. Kevorkian and Dr. Death.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, some states like Oregon allow you to do it under medical evaluation and supervision.
Yeah, it's become illegal in certain states, but something that they don't have to worry about in Bangladesh because all their young people, where in the United States is old people, and so are Japan. So let's ask Dr. Sharif, since he represents half of our potential audience over in Bangladesh. And I am looking at Chittagong and going over to that city, Dr. Sharif, because the air quality is not so bad there. But talk to me. Do you guys have assisted suicide over in Bangladesh?
Yeah, it's happened. But I want to move with some positive news. Today, I collaborate with UNESCO. I shared the news. So UNESCO is very happy with our World Talent Economy Forum. Definitely Pot TV is our partner. I promote your different shows with the UNESCO. And beside that, many university, today also another university invite me to collaborate with them, especially what I'm doing, this grassroots level communities, entrepreneurial initiative we are developing. And UNESCO said this kind of initiative is very, very important for Bangladesh, important for India or the global South communities. So those who want to contribute, let's say, I want to invite you all for this positive initiative. Very, very positive initiative. It's a life-changing. It's a real investment. Those who want to do investment, I request Nick, Sasha, everyone, invest through talent economy. I know you have all of the great experience from Silicon Valley, from Fortune Global 500, all of the big company shares. But trust me, if you invest in talent economy, invest in emerging economy, it will be life-changing, and it can bring a lot more success.
What time horizon on this investment, Dr. Sharif?
I do focus on more on startup, more on startup, because these small companies actually have some positive growth. So my focus in something like that, let's say this grant like UNESCO and all of the BBC and all of the foundations, they can focus in this particular area. Secondly, the investor like an angel investor or venture capital, they can invest in this economy. And definitely the commercialization, it's very, very, very good place for commercializations. I can ensure that all of the companies, that housing company or healthcare company or education company, they get a very good return, because it's South Asia. What Mr. Nick said, that half of the countries people live in these communities. So the growing as a company is very easy. So your money will be safe. Your investment opportunity will be futuristic and safe. And definitely history gonna remember you. That is the way of doing things with talent economy.
Interesting. Yeah.
What about
it's pretty interesting over there.
What about, so, and what you're talking about, because this is something, this is why I keep saying that, I hope you have some time, because I sent you the link to what I'm putting together here. And I would love to, in a roundabout way, have, in your idea, with what you're talking about with the world talent economy and so on and so forth, and talking about investment there, but how do you create that synergy between, say, for example, if we run the same format of what we're creating here, there, where it's still focused, because you're talking about investment in a lot of the different businesses and some of the tech stuff. But what I'm pushing is dealing in the gaming industry, the gaming and creative and focused on the human side, and doing a similar style of searching for investment for individuals that are trying to get in there.
Yeah.
How can we have the same thing where you're doing the world talent economy there, but also the world talent economy here? How do you do the Future Fest Connect here and then the Future Fest Connect there, where it's basically two sister conventions playing off of each other and helping each other, not only with the individuals that come with investment, but having both of those entities grow?
Yeah, sure. I'm happy to do that, because look, I see many smart entrepreneurs like Jatovi, like Nick, like Sasha, like Rick in developed nations. So you need customer, right? If you want to grow as a company, even though Pot TV, if they want to grow as a company, they need customer. Emerging economy, specifically South Asia, is very good place to engage with this community. If you want to engage with China, it will be very challenging. If you want to engage with Middle East, yes, it has money, but they don't have too much of audience. So if you have good customers base, right, for your company, for your gaming industry, I'm sure, let's say here around 60% population youth, 750 million people actually youth. So they will be very interested about gaming industry, this innovative industry. So if you have a customer, so very simple, like you are getting a lot more investment in your company. That is the way I'm always requesting global South and global North. You living in global North and global South. No barriers, no immigration barriers, no war, no fight. Be good friends. Make a good economy. That is very common thing, very small things we have to change. And I believe this way you can get a very good return for your corporations. Simple things, very, very simple things. Be good friends. What TV is doing.
Well, speaking of being good friends and everything like that, I mentioned that next week we're going to have a guest on GetSoFly.com, Heather Cherty, who has got a flying car, and she'll be appearing on next Tuesday here on World Edition and everything like that. So definitely keep that in your mind. But I'm also seeing that in Dubai, the Dubai Air Show, they are having the flying taxi startup debut. So are any of you going to be trying to get either in a flying taxi or buying a flying car? Because like I said, this is something that ironically you did it in Northampton County, which is a small area because you need a small area in order to have the land space to do the demonstration of a flying car. But like I said, we'll be having her on the 25th and everything like that of this month. But are any of you gentlemen going to be trying to get in a flying taxi?
Mark, just one thing. Sorry, Nick. Just one thing. Like Dhaka has huge population, lot of traffic jam. If really you invent or any company invent flying cars or something like that, this is a very good market. Trust me.
Well, like I said, she'll be on the show on the 25th. Join me when she comes here on the 25th. Heather Cherty, she can tell you what she's invented.
Nick can be venture capital for us, like business incubation. Or we can bring this 750 million youth markets and these great innovators. Nick and Sasha has a lot of experience for investment. Hey man, everyone billionaires.
See the problem with a lot of people that are not just the investments, it's the taxes that take place, which are a big issue for anybody who's high income. So I was going to go to Jatovi because I know he's doing a project.
If you invest in emerging economy, let's say if you invest in Bangladesh, 10 years, you do not have to pay any tax.
Oh, really?
10 years. Yeah,
okay.
10 years. You are an investor, 10 years, you do not have to pay any tax. So
Yeah.
save your money, become like a great entrepreneur.
Yeah,
So
because one of the big problems of high net worth, high income people, it's taxes. It's their number one budget item. In other words, they're everywhere. They're always looking for places.
Hey, Nick and Cherie, speaking of high income, there is a company that a lot of people like to go to. It has a nickname that some people have for it because of its low prices. And I'd love to hear Sasha's thought around this. But I just heard that they may have hit rock bottom because a lot of people, when they're looking for cheap activities or cheap clothes and things like that, they will go to what is nicknamed Target. It's called Target. And they're saying that Target may have hit rock bottom. And that's what CNN just reported. And that was a major discount store. So they're lowering their top end of their profit outlook and everything like that. So they're going to spend $5 billion on store revamps. But that was a popular store for those that like discount items and everything like that. So is Target in trouble?
I don't know. I have a problem with retail. It's not a sector that I really get involved in terms of buying their stock because it's so subject to getting crushed. It's like the airlines. I don't buy airline stocks because they can fall out of the sky and there goes your stock. And I don't buy.
Retail has been getting crushed for 30 years. And
and I don't buy restaurants, even though I like to eat some of these places. I think it's called Cheesecake Factory in the United States, is a great stock, but I still can't ever pull the trigger on those. So I'm just not into those sectors.
What about construction?
Well, I can tell you about cake. I can tell you about cheesecake. I can tell you because my wife and I will go a few times a year, and it used to be you had a 40-minute wait to get in, no more. It's I wouldn't invest in. I mean, still a great restaurant, but not as popular as it was 10 years ago.
But Rick and Nick, what about? I said that they had gone down. They actually went up, but it says it looks like Lowe's rallied on their Q3, and it looks like analysts are hammering Home Depot, but it looks like Lowe's stock jumped. So would you do stuff that's in the construction space?
There are all sorts of signs that most Americans are in some degree of economic distress,
right?
And it's bubbling up. We haven't seen the numbers to support it yet, in part because the government's been shut down for a month and a half, and we didn't get last month's numbers. But as we get into the beginning of 2026, we're going to see rising unemployment, rising inflation.
The one thing that I wanted to point out is I had heard today, and honestly, Sasha, I'd love to hear if this was what you heard as well, but I had heard today that the investors are really kind of nervous because of the AI bubble.
Yes, you're right. And today is probably the biggest day on the stock market in all year. Today at 4 o'clock, NVIDIA numbers will be released. And this is the only thing what can help to survive AI universe. Without NVIDIA positive earnings and positive comments by Jensen, without that, they all will go down the toilet, and people will lose trillions of dollars is on the line, and one stock, NVIDIA, dictates what's going to happen to millions and millions of investors in artificial intelligence and all quantum computing and all other wonderful stocks. Now, speaking about the casual food restaurants, I've read comments about Chipotle, which stock about a year, 2 years ago, it was flying. You couldn't even touch it. Right. Then it split, and now it's back to reality. So they admitted that many Americans who used to, for casual dining, consider Chipotle, they cannot afford the casual dining anymore. They cannot afford even McDonald's anymore. So Chipotle is on the block. It will go bankrupt, as many other casual restaurants seems. And McDonald's will fight to keep its audience, and there is nothing below McDonald's anyway. So if people want to continue to live and eat, they will have to go to McDonald's.
Before COVID, my wife and I go out to dinner, I don't know, once a week, maybe twice a week sometimes. Our price point used to be $30. Get out of there for $30 for two with tip, unless it's a special occasion. After COVID, our price point is now $50.
Yeah, and by the way, I did check the target price on the stock. Last 5 years, it's down 50%, and that's the reason I just can't do the retail sector, because you can get clobbered. 1 year, they're the darlings, they're up like. Now they're down 50%. I mean,
there's another store like that. TJ Maxx apparently is outperforming, and they're saying that that's signaling in more frugal shoppers. Because TJ Maxx is another one that people like to go for discounts as well.
Yeah, you're right.
TJ Maxx and Target are two different price points.
Yeah,
TJ Maxx is super cheap. So yeah, people will spend money in the cheap stores. Yeah, but as Rick pointed out, and I think Nick, you can actually look it up as you're tracking. All the big box stores, Best Buy to all of them are struggling because, I mean, the online community is where a lot of people shop.
Yeah, the online community.
Retail is a terrible business model now. Retail, I mean, used to be the only way that people could buy, but now you're guessing what people are going to want. You have to put it in your stores for people to see. That's a
crazy model and everything. Before we get off, we got about another 5 minutes. I know I got Sasha's investment show. Speaking of investment, coming up at 1 o'clock. But I did have a question for you, Nick, because apparently Meta, that's another one of those big.
Yeah, they're the ones that keep throwing us off the air.
a landmark antitrust case over Instagram and WhatsApp accusations. So they're saying that they did not violate the law when they brought Instagram and WhatsApp, is what a judge said yesterday, and they're saying that's a big antitrust win. So what is your take on that as a person in the legal profession?
Did Meta win that one then?
They did win that one. They won that one.
Okay. Meta's, the thing is, I'm not broadcasting on Meta. I'm not broadcasting on Facebook. Why? Because they stuck me in Facebook jail. They also stuck another one of our shows, Weed Wednesday, into Facebook jail. And they also took one of our other producers. They have 3 of us in jail right now. So we asked Meta, why are we in Facebook jail? No response. I mean, that is one of the Facebook is one of the suckiest companies and Meta out there. The best thing to do is to go somewhere else. They're just horrible. And so we've been, I'm on TikTok a lot because we can broadcast there. And LinkedIn is great. I think they're owned by Microsoft, but they never pull the stunts that Facebook does and YouTube. By next year we're gonna restore all of our stuff away from YouTube, so we're gonna have our own storage on Blockbuster Video TV, because you can't trust any of these big companies. I mean, you talk about kings. They kept talking about Trump being king. Forget Trump. He's a tiny little prince. The kings are the kings of the corporations, the big corporations in America. And the oligarchs are the extremely wealthy people in America who keep low profiles, importantly, because they don't want their heads chopped off. And they're the ones that control the purse strings. It's not Donald. Donald is like...
So you mean the people that are all sitting with Donald Trump and helping him build this? Yeah, so...
I mean, it's Machiavelli all over again, Jacoby. I mean, he wins the election, and so they suck up to him. By the way, if Kamala Harris was there, guess what? They'd be sitting in Kamala Harris's chair. It doesn't matter to them. What matters to them is pure profits, money, and power. And they don't care about anything else. So in terms of politics, they'll bet on both sides. And whoever wins, they don't really care. And they're the kings of America. It's not Donald Trump. It's the people that run these big corporations in the United States. They're the real kings.
But I guess you missed the Nick. I guess you missed the joke that I just pointed out. There is a difference. One created the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Yeah. One has dismantled that bureau. One was focused on.
Hey, listen, I can't help it that you Americans voted a lunatic into office. I had nothing to do with it, So I voted for Kamala Harris on the record. Why did I vote for Kamala Harris, even though everybody thinks I'm a raving right-wing liberal? I'll tell you why. Because the other guy's a lunatic. So you had a choice: a person you really didn't like but wasn't a lunatic, or a lunatic. That's really the choice. And America voted for the lunatic. It doesn't tell me much about him. It tells me about the American people, how they think, or in this case, lack thereof. And if that's their values, I'm living in Spain and I'm buying another place in Scotland, and I'm just going to be bopping Europe until things settle down over there.
All right, you don't want to invest in retail. What you want to do is flip houses. I just looked it up. There are 7,000 houses in Pennsylvania that are less than $80,000 and less than $50 per square foot.
You're kidding me.
You find the places in America where housing is cheap and you create rental properties, or you invest in the companies that are doing that.
Yeah, there's that whole book written on Rich Dad, Poor Dad. That people say, "Oh, I have money to invest in houses." He showed how he invested his first house. He actually borrowed like $2,000 from a friend, used it as a down payment, bought a home for like $40,000 because it was a distressed property, and then immediately put it on the market for $60,000. Before he closed, he had a buyer, and he pocketed $20,000. And I can tell you my experience. I've bought quite a few homes out of they call it foreclosure. In other words, these homes go into foreclosure. You can get bargains there. I usually make like $100,000 a year buying homes out of foreclosure and then flipping them. And why? Because why not? It's too easy, is what I'm saying. And it's also very difficult because it can be very competitive. to be able to go in and you have to bid on auctions. It's a pain.
It can be very competitive.
I don't do that anymore.
We're getting ready to wrap up, and I know you said you're going to be buying a house in Scotland and everything. We'll have to reach out to that Scotland podcaster that used to be on the show regularly about 3 or 4 years ago, and I got to remember his name, but he was out of Scotland and everything like that. But he was one of our regulars in the early days of this particular network. So maybe he's got a house that he can help you get invested in. But I do remember.
No. Well, maybe investing, because like I said, every time I look to buy property, I'm looking to make at least $100,000 on the property. Because somebody goes, "Oh, I'll sell you this." I said, "No, you're not." Yeah, I bought, exchange millions of dollars worth of properties. Now I buy low, and I sell high. And so the thing is, and then what they want to do is sell you high, and I'm not interested. So the thing is, they want, oh, look at all this beautiful. No, I'm looking at the numbers. I'm not looking at all this beautiful garbage.
Speaking of numbers, as we get ready to get out of here, I know at 1 o'clock we'll have Milan and we'll have Sasha have their debate between the S&P 500 and the market wizard, which is what he calls Sasha, and everything along those lines. So
Sasha had a great pick on the video. I'll tell you, several years ago, that was just unbelievable. He picked that stock. I couldn't believe that stock did exactly what he said. It's going to go up and up and up and up. And it did, Sasha. That was a brilliant move on your part. My problem is I had wax in my ears. I didn't listen to you well enough back then. So my ears are becoming open now. Anyway, that's the Modern Investment on the Pod TV network. And you don't see it anywhere else because they don't have stuff like this. Yeah. Cool. Oh, he's leaving. No.
Yeah. So we'll see him at 1 o'clock along those lines. So it is at the top of the hour. So we'll see Modern Investment at 1 o'clock. So let's get on out of here.